the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah. The Israelis announced that he's no longer able to terrorize the world. Quite frankly, looking at the state of Israel, Israel is a terrorist state. It might not be terrorizing the world, but it certainly terrorizes the Middle East, and it certainly terrorizes its internal Palestinian population, not least those on the West Bank, but of course you can't forget Gaza. Israel precisely also poses a threat to the wider world because they seem to be acting in a way designed to provoke Iran, or maybe they'll just keep blaming Iran for Palestinian resistance, for Hezbollah, for anything that they don't like. And of course, we cannot forget that Israel is a nuclear state, but of course, it isn't signed up international agreements on the question. It sort of denies it's got nuclear weapons, but it's an open secret. They've assassinated a particular leader, and they seem to be embarking on a policy of also assassinating, taking out likely successors. The idea that their enemies consist of a Mr. Evil individual who alone is responsible for everything that they don't like. It doesn't seem to occur to them that what they've got in the form of the Palestinians, what you've got in the form of Hezbollah, are resistance movements, and they're not going to stop resisting because this, that, or many leaders are taken out. The tendency would be that you start taking out leader after leader, and what sort of gets selected in a sort of Darwinian fashion, not someone coming with an olive branch, but precisely someone coming with the bullet and the bomb. For every Hezbollah leader that they take out, there are 100, 1,000 volunteers wanting to join. This was aimed at not only a building, but what existed underneath the building. They created a crater 36 foot deep. That is some big bomb, a Mark 84 heavy bomb. These bombs are in everyday use in Gaza, and who is supplying them? Who is enabling Israel? For all of Blinken's, urging a restraint, well, they're supplying the weapons that Israel is using at this very moment in order to up the ante, in order to provoke what? Surrender? Do they really think that that would provoke surrender? Surely not, no, but to provoke Hezbollah into an action that Israel then uses as an excuse to launch a ground invasion. If we look at Iran, how restrained Iran has been. We've had assassinations in Tehran, we've had Israeli strikes against its embassy in Damascus that Iran has held back. Yeah, we had the sort of token, it was announced in advance, drone and missile attack on Israel. And I think some poor Bedouin boy was killed. It's Israel that's going around the Middle East trying to provoke, the idea that we're all meant to blame Hamas for what was, after all, a giant prison breakout. And, a Marxist analysis always says we've got to go back in history. You don't simply look at, the last incident and say, well, they started it. The reality is, go back, to 1917, the Balfour Declaration, the independence of Israel, the Six-Day War, the conquest of Gaza, the conquest of the West Bank. All of that is something that you would put in. And of course, we would add to that, whatever the date one wants to choose. Various dates have been given: 67, 1970, 73, but the United States replaced France, who replaced Britain as Israel's imperial sponsor. Israel is a powerful country in the Middle East. Of course, we all know that, but it's a powerful country because it's backed by major powers. First of all, the British Empire. After 1948, France, after 67, 1970, whatever date one chooses, the United States. So precisely, it's the United States that's enabled its war on Gaza, enabled its provocation against Lebanon, against Hezbollah. From Netanyahu's point of view, this wasn't just designed to provoke Hezbollah. Surely it was an act to humiliate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, all urging Israel to come to some sort of ceasefire arrangement. 21 days was mentioned. Netanyahu accuses basically the entire world of being anti-Semitic. In other words, anyone, and this is the point we've been making for years now, anyone who dares to criticize Israel is automatically accused of anti-Semitism. And we've seen it used in Britain against the left in the Labour Party. If you look at Germany, it's been used to tame Die Linke and the rest of the left in Germany. One country after the other, the establishment, but urged on, of course, by Israel and the alliance that they have with Israel, is using this as their most effective propaganda weapon. But of course, it's a lie. It's a big lie. A good portion, especially of young Jews, are completely opposed to what Israel is doing. Basically, their message is that you're not doing it in our name. Israel claims to be the state of all Jews throughout the world. But a good proportion of Jews militantly reject that lie. The logic of Zionism that leads to perpetual war, that leads to ethnic cleansing, and of course with that, the distinct danger that if they can't actually dump people in Egypt, if they can't actually force people over the River Jordan from the West Bank, genocide. That Israel has done it before, Lebanese civil war. I remember Israeli troops in Beirut holding back. These Palestinian refugees were massacred, letting Christian militias loose. Israel was forced to withdraw. And that's happened twice. So the last time Israel went in and then came out was 2006. And that was a short war where, according to the pundits, Hezbollah, not simply as a Shia, militia and Shia political party, but as a national resistance movement, Hezbollah and Israel tying, to neither side could overcome the other. But the reality of it was that for a militia group without an air stopped Israel, of course, was a victory for Hezbollah, was a victory and a humiliation for Israel, which had prior to that basically regarded itself as invincible. While, for example, in 73, it was caught unawares, Yom Kippur, the reality is the Israeli might overcame Egypt, overcame Jordan, overcame Syria, but it couldn't overcome Hezbollah. What exactly their war aims are, I'm somewhat mystified. The reality is that resistance will continue. What are Israel's real aims in this war? With the Palestinians, it's ethnic cleansing. And when it comes to Lebanon, it's to wreck the place. It's to make it inoperable as any sort of society, and to back forces that want another civil war. As the idea that on the wreckage that causes there would be peace is just inconceivable.